How's it going, guys? Welcome to Audio Addiction. Tonight we have Outlineincolor on, which I'm very stoked. He can say his name and what he does in the band.
What's up? I'm Skaggs, and I do vocals for the band.
Perfect, Skaggs. Well, thank you for coming on. As I mentioned, big fan. I've been a fan since Jury of Wolves, so this is, to me, this is peak. So I'm very excited. But
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Thank you for listening so long. That's awesome.
oh, no problem. The first question I have for you, Skaggs, is, how did the band start out? How did it form? The whole, I guess, origin story of Outlineincolor.
Totally. So, Forrest was one of our original guitar players, and me, Forrest, and CJ all played in different local bands. We weren't playing in the same bands. I think CJ and Forrest played in a band together called Medea, and I had played in a bunch of different bands. And
Gotcha.
we had kind of met each other through the scene, playing the same shows or
Sure.
seeing each other at the same shows. And we kind of all went through high school, I guess our high school bands together, seeing each other as I would say friends, but kind of at an arm's distance. And eventually we started to get to know each other a little bit better, and it became evident to all of us that we were kind of the members of our respective bands that really wanted to do something serious.
I feel that, yeah.
And there were the other guys in our other bands, they were really cool and they were talented and stuff, but they just had other things going on in their lives that were a distraction, or they just didn't didn't want to have the same goals that we had. So me, Forrest, and CJ decided to kind of start putting I think Forrest and CJ started bumping some ideas together, and then I became involved. And somewhere along the line, we had also met Austin. He played for this little cover band. He was 15 years old, playing for this metal cover band.
What?
And yeah, and he just shredded. So he almost instantly became a part of this untitled project that we were putting together. And together we wrote I think a 4 or 5 song EP, and we started immediately trying to find vocalists. And that kind of led us to finding Jonathan. And he, again, just another guy from the Tulsa music scene that we had seen and always we thought he was great, but he played in this pop punk band, and he was a very busy guy and didn't want to be in 2 bands. So we kind of coaxed him into coming to a recording session one day. And we're just hey, you don't have to be in the band, but could you just put some stuff on this? And he just blew our minds with these crazy high harmonies that he was hitting that we had never heard a human hit before. And he basically said, he long story short, we got him to agree to record the EP, but he was in another band, and it was very much I'll play a show every once in a while, but I'm in this other band. I got other things going on. I can't be in a committed. You couldn't tour was the main thing, and we hadn't been touring yet, but we had aspirations to tour one day. So that we were trying to find somebody that could do that.
Sure.
And anyway, we started releasing music on MySpace, and people started resonating with it. And at that time, social media was pretty untapped. You could post something and people would see it. You didn't have to pay money to make people see it. So we started having what I would consider our first viral moment, when we were very small. This is a very small viral, but
still big.
This is the first thing that we had ever done as musicians, where we put it on the internet, and more people than just the people we knew in real life were connecting with it online.
Sure.
It was it was reaching people.
It's real deal.
And and at that point, John was well, I guess you could put my name on. Anyway,
after that, it had to be the viral moment, and then he was like, you know what, listen, I might change my mind on that.
So he rolled with us for a while, and eventually we reached a point where his life was really heavy. He he had a fiance at the time. He had a mortgage and a house. He was the most financially responsible of all of us at the time, and a full-time job. So we like kind of amicably decided that he would step down, and that's when like Casey came into the picture, and we
Yeah, yeah.
began working on Jury of Wolves. But that was kind of the cool thing about like Casey stepping into the band, is there was never any like animosities or like weirdness or like somebody got kicked out. It was just like John at that point in his life wasn't able to be a touring musician, so
Sure.
he just kind of respectfully stepped down, and
Pass the torch, yeah.
and that's when Casey stepped in.
There we go. And obviously, there has a lot of things that have happened in between. I there, plenty of albums. But I have kind of followed your journey like over the years. I think I found, like I said earlier, I found out about you guys through Jury of Wolves, and I kind of
Mm-hmm.
just like like low key just kind of kept an eye on things, and then um, it wasn't until like more currently with like you had 2 EPs you released, and I'm totally blanking on them right now, but like
Imposter syndrome.
Imposter Syndrome, that's like me right now. I'm feeling like an imposter, but I
that's why I wrote it, bro.
a little bit. But that was when I kind of got back into your band, and I was like, okay, I need to go listen to all the previous stuff, and now I have to listen to Imposter Syndrome, and then I wind up reviewing Imposter Syndrome, and I was like, this is so good. Why have I taken so long to come back to Outlineincolor? But we're here, so.
Yeah, I'm glad you're back, man.
And for me, it was like, okay, like they have this talent. When are they gonna get signed? When is when are the cogs gonna be moving? Because I've always felt that you guys have had something special, and obviously for to remain in my life since like 2012, I feel like you got to have some sort of like you got to have the goods, and I feel like you
Well,
guys
thank
have
you, man.
always improved over the years, and I think with each release, I'm always like so like floored in some way, where I'm like, oh my god, they did this. This was really cool. And then like the most current track that I listened to, and I haven't listened to the newest one, so I'll have to listen to that. But the last one I listened to was with Loveless, which
Mm-hmm.
it was fantastic. I love
Thank you,
Loveless.
dude.
I've been a fan of his for a while, and to see you guys both collaborate together, I was like, oh God, thank you for this. Thank you for this blessing. I love it.
It's
How'd that come to be, Skaggs? Because I'm very curious on like, was that something that you guys reached out to him, or did he reach out to you? Because I was just curious on how that may have been arranged.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I reached out to him, but I've known, not like super well, just like
Sure.
through the internet and whatnot, but I've known Julian for quite some time. Our old drummer Nick, he's kind of like a producer, like that produces like solo
What?
artists and stuff
Oh,
like
very
that. Yeah,
cool.
he does some really cool stuff, and he had done some work with Julian in the past, and I had become actually familiar with Julian through his audio work. Like he's in the like audio editing scene.
Okay, okay.
He's kind of known as someone who is very good at vocal editing, and he's done vocal edits for like probably some of your favorite albums. Um,
Oh, very cool. All
and
right.
So I became familiar with him through that. And in fact, before his TikTok stuff like really started taking off, we did that. I can't remember what song we did, but we did the compilation for My Chemical Romance.
Oh,
Um,
yes, yes,
the
yes,
more
yes.
the more recent one, Julian actually mixed that, like the audio for it.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
and
that's sick.
that was. I think he had a little bit of heat at that time, but that was like before everything started like really boiling over. And in fact, before we signed with Thriller, we had been working on like what was going to be our next record, and
Mm-hmm.
we had some songs finished, and um, the song that became Quicksand with Michael Swank, Julian actually recorded a feature for like a long time ago.
What?
And, yeah, and we signed it to the label, and like we showed them all of the demos and stuff that we had. And somewhere along the line, when we were in the studio, the label actually circled back to us, and they really loved "Do Your Worst." It was one of their favorite songs when we signed to them, and they were just like, we know Julian's already on the track, but like, is there any way that we could get him to do something on "Do Your Worst" instead? And um, it ended up being really cool because I have a version of "Do Your Worst" with Michael Swank on it, and a version of "Quicksand" with
What?
Julian,
That's so
and they're
cool.
they're completely different parts too. They're not even like singing the same stuff. So
That's
it's really
crazy.
cool. But like Swank has been one of our homies for many. One of our first tour ever was with Micah, so he's just one of the boys, and he was more than down to switch it up. And at that point, the feature that he had recorded was like 2 years old or something like that. So he was kind of like, I'm a little bit better at recording now. Like I'm a little bit more like I've been singing more. Like I think I could do a better job now anyway. So everybody was happy in the end, but. Yeah, I just reached out to Julian, and he was super down to make it all happen. And yeah, it was super. He's just so talented. Like, I mean,
Oh yeah.
us working together essentially was like, we made the track and we recorded all of our parts and stuff. But I basically just sent an open verse to him, and he just did his thing, and it was just so great.
That's awesome. Obviously, I also have to mention Michael Swank too. Big Micah Relocate fan. Rest in
Heck
peace.
yeah,
But
dude.
Foxera, also great. Michael, if you watch this, come on the channel. Love to have you on again. Bucket list people, checking them off. It's great.
Heck
But
yeah, I'll text him after this for sure.
oh, that's great. Very stoked. Thanks, Gags. But I, like I said, thus far, like, and even with the album coming out, like, on the horizon as well, it just, to me, I'm like, they got. I was like, I feel like there's stuff on the album that I'm just so stoked about, and I'm excited to listen to, and I'm already like, all the ones that are out, like Quicksand, Do Your Worst, like, I'm like, oh, these are great. Like, I'm excited to listen to the whole album. I guess, how long of a process has that been? I imagine you are just as stoked and as hyped to get the album out. When did you guys start recording this? And obviously, you can speak on how excited you are for the album to come out as well.
Yeah. Oh, I'm very, very excited. This there's I feel like every release we've ever done, I'm proud of every single one of them. And like when we talk to fans that are like, "Oh, Struggle was my favorite," or "Jury of Wolves was my favorite," or whatever, I feel the same about those people as the people that say that they love the new stuff the most,
Sure,
because
sure, sure.
like I was there at every moment, so like I can relate to all of those times in my life. And anyway, like I feel like there's always been something that's held us back, whether it be finances or substances
Sure.
or just depression or just whatever. Like there's just always been something that holds us from just delivering the very, very best that we can do. And there's been times where I feel like we've hit it with the music, but we haven't nailed it with the execution of releasing the album. There's been
Sure.
times where I feel like we've had really good marketing strategies, but maybe the production wasn't quite where we wanted it to be, or what we could afford, or whatever. But this record label, like, they really stepped in and they saw like the vision that we have, and
Hmm.
they saw that, like, what you said earlier about how you always thought that like maybe we had what it took to go all the way or whatever. I'm paraphrasing, but
Sure.
the label, they saw like, hey, if we came in and we just like gave them the resources and helped them do the things that they're trying to do, like maybe this could go. And we started working on this record almost immediately after releasing Imposter Syndrome. We started going back to the studio for session blocks where we would work on like 2-3 songs at a
Oh wow.
time.
Okay.
And prior to signing to Thriller, we had, I think, 7 or 8 songs prepared. And at the time, we were just like, oh, let's just put out another EP. Or we had even entertained the idea of doing like an Imposter Syndrome Deluxe Edition and putting like
Sure.
4 new songs. Or this was before the label was involved and stuff. But when the label came in, they were like, well, let's do an album. We feel like you haven't had like your album where it's the best production you've ever had, the best songs, the best features, like the best marketing, the best videos, and a tour to release it on. And
Sure. Sure.
they were right. We've never had all of those things. We've had some of those things, but we've never had the whole Grand Slam together. So they encouraged us to, revisit the songs that we had recorded, and then we made plans to finish the album, like record more songs. And the plan was that we were just going to do half of the album with Bayless and half of it with Hiram Hernandez. and we had done the front half of the album with Bayless already. So we go to LA to start working on the back half of the album, and things are just going awesome. Like, we're just crushing songs.
Sure,
And
yeah.
we had, I think, signed up to do 5 songs in like 3 weeks, I think, and we were done in like 2. And
Wow.
so and we were just like, we can sit on these songs the whole time we're here for another week and like just keep polishing them and keep doing it. But that's kind of the producer and the mixing engineer's job,
Sure, yeah.
So we the label was just like, man, if you guys are rolling, like, just keep the magic happen, keep writing songs. So we ended up writing like another 2 or 3 songs, or like 2 songs and a cover or something like that.
Very cool.
And at that point, like, the album was kind of displaced from being 50-50, so we had to kind of dig deep, and I think this is like the first time where we've ever had to like cut songs from an album, but there were
Wow.
like 2 or 3 songs that and they may come back later down. We may rework them, and it may be on a future album or something, but we really crafted this out. There's no songs that we just like threw on this album. Like, we're crazy excited about every single song. It was impossible to pick singles, and even this deep in the release process, I'm still like second guessing our single choices, because we have some songs that are like, they're just it's hard because we're a like metalcore band, but we have
Yeah,
some songs that have some like, I don't know, rock or radio rock kind of vibes to them, and
I
it's
agree.
hard to pick a single sometimes, because we don't want to alienate our heavy fan base like at all. If we love making heavy music, and that's not going to stop anytime soon. But we do love to make like emotional, vibey stuff as
Sure, yeah.
well, and yeah. So like, there's a couple emotional, vibey tracks that are on the record that I truly think could have been singles, but like we went with our gut, and we chose the songs that we felt like were the most consistent with like what our fan base would expect from us, And there's obviously deviation, but at least for where we're at now, what we felt like most was inspired by like our previous works and what got us here.
I would certainly agree with the 3 songs. I believe 3 songs that are out now. Like, I feel like it's a good ideology of what I feel like the album is going to be like. I mean, obviously haven't listened to it, but Thriller, whoever, if you want to send it, if you guys, Becky, if you want to send it over, I mean, listen, I'll gladly take it and listen to it. But I I feel like you guys have, like I said, even with imposter syndrome and taking that time off, and then obviously having like member changes and listening to your band in kind of a different light, I was like, okay, this has like refreshed me about this band, and I'm like, I need to really get involved with it a little bit more. And then obviously with new album coming out, I was like, I really got to get invested and listen to all the other ones. And obviously the one that caught my ear first was the Loveless one, as I mentioned, and then I went back and listened to the one with Michael Swang, because listen, we love Michael Relocate here. And I felt like you guys just have, I think you guys have evolved your sound in such a way, because I think back to my times of being, younger and listening to Jury of Wolves and being like, wow, this is so crazy. This is great. Like, I wonder what they're going to sound like in 5 years. I wonder what they're going to sound like in, 10 years or something like that. And to see you guys kind of evolve your sound and have different members interchange and still have that collective, like, I don't feel like Outlineincolor from Jury of Wolves isn't that much different from,
Right.
anything that you guys have released currently. It's just kind of an evolution, and I've been appreciating the journey thus far. And I'm sure for you, it's like, obviously it must be a large change to just have, different members come in and out and like have different things, interchange, but, you know, also at the same point, there's such a camaraderie with what you guys do. I think there's still just, even if it's, you know, maybe like 2 original members or like the whole band's all original members, I feel like you guys still kind of keep your collective sound no matter
Yeah.
who's there and who's not. Like, it just, I think you guys have evolved super well, and I wanted to give you guys kudos for that, because
Well,
as
thanks.
a fan that's been for well over, I would say roughly 10 years now. You know, it's cool to see you
Yeah.
guys change it up and do something different. But you know, Swank, in terms of your influences, you know, who got you started out doing what you do, and then who influences your style more currently?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, I grew up on like hip hop and like hardcore and heavy metal and stuff.
Yeah.
But like I heard, I want to say like what band? I'm trying to think. Like there was a point in time where like scene music just like grabbed me really fast, and
Oh
it
yeah.
was like I want to say it was Census Fail's first record.
Ooh
What
yeah.
that was like that was like the first time that I'd heard like "Ah," like kind of like false chord screaming, you know, and that like I don't know why, but it just like really spoke to me. And I had some friends in one of my first bands, and they got me out to. I literally just saw the flyer for it the other day. It was, oh man, let me look at my. I have to look. You won't even believe this shit. Um, oh man, it's so crazy. This is 2006,
Oh
Monday, May
wow.
21st, at a venue that no longer exists in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that would house no more than 300 people. Alisana, A Day to Remember, Dance Gavin Dance, and Pierce the Veil.
Wow, what a
Pierce the,
lineup.
Pierce the Veil had a 2 or 3 song EP that they were touring on before Flair for the Dramatic came out. A Day to Remember, like at that point in time, they were like somehow playing in Oklahoma like at least twice a month on these like 10 local band like fests that like promoters would put on, where it's just like 10 local bands and A
Oh
Day to
my
Remember playing.
god.
It's crazy time to think about, because like all those bands are just like massive now. Even at
Sure, sure.
Alisana still pulls big numbers, like and Dance Gavin Dance, obviously. Um, so like you know like that. Some of that was the show that I think really like got me like looking at that kind of music. I fell in love with Pierce the Veil that night, and I think it's really cool that I have 2 Pierce the Veil tattoos, no shame,
Oh, cool.
and I've got to see like they were like a band that like I connected with as somebody that was like 16, 17 years old, and it's like so cool to see how big they are now, and like you know, and all the other bands on that bill too. It's crazy. It's like when we started making music, there were not a whole lot of bands that were doing stuff that was at least similar to what we were doing,
Sure, sure.
and there was nobody making a career out of it. You know, like everybody was just doing it for the love of it and the
Oh yeah.
tours and the fun, but nobody was making a living back then.
No, I agree, and I also I'm kind of you know, I'm gonna age myself. Obviously, I'm 29, so like, and I'm turning 30 next year. And for me, you know, I the other day I was interviewing like a younger band, and they were like, "Oh, well, you're an elder emo now," and that just like that sunk into my chest a little bit, because
Yeah, I know.
I'm like, bro, I'm getting old, you know. But also at the same point, I think it's cool because, you know, I remember at one point I was that like, you know, 18, 17, 18-year old, and I was finding out about like bands that I still love, you know, like My Chemical
Totally.
Romance and like Bayside and like all of these
Yep.
other just like local. Used to grow up in New Jersey, so like just a ton of like great local bands. I
Yeah.
saw like We Came as Romans in this like small like dive bar kind of thing in like South Jersey, and it's cool because like I think back about those times and I think very fondly of them. Obviously, like, you
Yeah.
know, who doesn't love a good show? But it's cool to see that those bands are still doing what they love to do, and in a much, I would hope, in a larger capacity, you know.
Absolutely.
And that's awesome. So, you know, obviously even you guys have been doing it for, you know, as long as I can remember knowing your band, and that's so cool. So for me it's like, you know, some band that I grew up listening to, and then I would have never thought, you know, I'm gonna interview that band one day, and then now I'm here. So it's quite a cool thing. But um the next question I have for you, Skaggs, and I just realized I called you Swank the last time. That was
No,
total. You know, again, imposter syndrome. Not to you know, rehash anything. But
you're good, dude.
you guys have a new album coming out. Coast is Clear, coming out on Thriller, which I'm very excited about. It comes out on October 14th. I have to ask this because I imagine you have been asked this question before, but you know it's probably very similar to picking like your favorite child. But do you happen to have a favorite song off "The Coast Is Clear" that maybe isn't out or is out that you just like? You're just like, that's my baby. I love it.
Yeah, so the track "Coast Is Clear," and then also the track "Drop the Match" with Chris Roeder from like Mazda Flames.
Ooh.
Yeah, both of those songs were actually written with me and the producer that we did the back half of the album with, like in 2018, I believe, maybe
Okay.
2019. It was before the pandemic. And they were actually written for a completely different project that was not Outlining Color.
Hmm.
I It's kind of a long story, but I won't totally get into it. But basically, I was encouraged by some people that were like kind of high up in the music industry that me and somebody else should start another project alongside of Outlining Color.
Huh.
But
All right.
it was just something that was like kind of pushed along by some other people. So after an outline tour, we started working on these songs, and I wrote a bunch of them with this guy, and some of them are really, really, really cool. And we were trying to do things that were just like complete. I don't want to sound like arrogant, but like we wanted to do something that was just like next, like something that was different, you
Yeah.
know. And
Yeah. Yeah.
obviously, everything's been done before. Nothing is completely original, but we were trying to do something fresh, and we did something fresh. And then we sat on those songs for like 3 years, and then the perfect time, they just somehow just fit with the record that we were writing when we were in LA. We just started playing the references for them in the studio, and I was just like, you know, like we could give this chorus to John, and I could do this part this way, and
Sure. Sure.
like,
Sure.
um, and anyway, like both of those songs are really special to me because that's right about the time that I started becoming like a songwriter and finding my footing as like a songwriter, and it's really cool that I feel like pretty confident in my abilities at this point, and I it was cool to bring those ideas back from the very beginning of my songwriting career and still feel solid enough about them to put them on the record. So I wouldn't want to say that they're like my favorite because they're the best songs on the record, but like they're very special to me for that reason.
No, no, certainly. And I feel like if anything, it's always cool to hear like directly from the source, like some of the ones that, you know, the person that I'm interviewing feels the most passionate about. Because then when I go and listen to it, I'm like, okay, now I get it. Like it all makes sense. It's all coming together. And so I'm very excited to
Totally.
listen to it. Obviously, again, big like Mazda Flames fan. So when I saw Chris Roeder on the track list, I was like, all right, all right. I bet you they're saving this one to not. I hope it doesn't get released. That's all I'm saying. I hope it
Uh,
gets released on release day, but I don't know.
it's
I'll.
it's getting released on release day for
Okay,
sure.
cool. There we go.
Uh,
I
so
wanted to savor the moment, you know.
Side note, Chris Roeder is like the nicest guy ever, and he's so kind. And every time I see him posting sad stuff on Twitter, I just want to like make everything right in his life. He's just so sweet and so kind and so real. And yeah, I just such a cool dude. So happy to have him on our record.
Yeah, and I've like I said, just to kind of add to the list of great features on the album, I was like, all right, like they're just getting everybody that I love personally. So if this doesn't blow me out of the water, I mean, I have good hopes that it will, but just the features alone were just like chef's kiss, you know. So
Well,
I'm
thank you,
super
man.
stoked. In terms of Skags, in terms of people that you would love to have as a dream feature on an up and coming Outlining Color record, are there any that come to mind that you were like, okay, I haven't had the chance to work with them, but this is the time to
Yeah,
manifest it, you know?
definitely. My number one like tour ambition is Pierce the Veil for sure. For you
Ooh, and
know,
they're
that
back
would just
too.
be. Yeah, and my scream is like also unshamefully very influenced by Vic's, and I just think like I've always done like a more metalcore thing, so it's like not as evident, but like I was definitely very influenced by him like in my earlier days and stuff, and yeah, that would be a dream come true to have him on a track. Um, And then like outside of the scene, there's just like, shoot, I have aspirations of like collaborating with people that are like in very high places, like both like as artists and songwriters, you know,
Okay.
not just
Okay.
and producers and stuff like that. Just because at this point, like I just really enjoy songwriting, and the people that I vibe the best with tend to be like songwriters and musician types that aren't like totally completely into themselves. um, and you know, like songwriting, when you're hanging out with songwriters, is just like hanging out like with like
Just
other people,
homies.
you know. It's just like what you do, you know, because you all write music and it's the funnest thing in the world, so why wouldn't you do it together, you know?
No, I 100% get that. I would love to hear you as somebody who grew up and like listened to a lot of Pierce Vale, Flair for the Dramatic, Chef's Kiss, but you know, undeniably, I'm a Selfish Machines guy. Like
Oh yeah,
that's quintessential Pierce Vale, and
absolutely.
it's
That
cool
was
to
like
hear that they're
right when
back.
they hit their full swing.
The peak, and then Collide with the
Yeah.
Sky was just like, man, they're taking off, and you know, they're just one of those bands that I'll have to find a photo, but I think my first photo on Facebook was it was me, and shout out to my friend Mike. We went to go see Pierce the Veil out in Philadelphia, and I have a photo with all of them. I think
Oh, that's
I
awesome.
it's somewhere on my Facebook page. I'll have to flash it up on the screen, but it's like it's wild.
I know he's not everybody's favorite person right now, but I have when Mike did the Mikey Whiskey Hands thing, I have like an autographed poster from that. Like I used to have the
What?
T-shirt too, but yeah, I still have the poster. It's on my wall.
There we go. Well, that's great, guys. If you want to hear Outline in Color, Pierce the Veil collaboration, you go on Twitter, you tag Outline in Color, you tag Pierce the Veil, you type in collab. And again, I'm not a legal scholar. I didn't go to law school, but I'd imagine I think that's a legally binding contract at this point. So you know, where they're
We're gonna
already
need
in.
like tens of thousands of people to do this.
It's all right. That's the manifestation, Skags. You know, so I believe that the Outline and Color fan base can do it, along with you know the Audio Addiction fan base. The two worlds collide. So
Totally.
let's
We're
make it
we're
happen. Let's do it,
Totally.
guys.
We're definitely not like connected to them by any means, but like I'm always surprised like the longer we stick around in the music industry, the smaller things get, you know, like one of our managers is the guitar player for the U's, and the
Oh, very
U's
cool.
has Dave Shapiro, who's their booking agent, and he books like all the big bands in the
Oh yeah.
scene,
Oh yeah.
Pierce the Veil being one of them. So, you know, we're like 3 or 4 degrees of separation away from this. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens.
I have faith, you know, I believe that, you know, I believe that, you know, the Outline in Color, you know, manifestation, you know, about you guys coming on my channel. So I feel like if I have to do anything, I'll pass the buck off to the next person, which is Pierce Surveil apparently. So let's do it. Let's make it happen. But
Let's go.
the next question I have for you, Skags, obviously you kind of talked about it a smidge bit earlier, but you guys are going out on tour with Electric Callboy and Attack Attack, which, by the way, fantastic lineup. Conquer Divide's also on there too.
Yeah.
I wish it was coming close to a city near me, but it is unfortunately not. So in big sad, you know. So hopefully leg two, you know, you guys can come to Philadelphia because you know I would probably shit my pants if that happens. But you know, how does that feel to be out with like Electric Callboy has been around for a bit, and then also they're getting so much bigger as the days go on, which is
Yeah.
awesome. And then obviously an OG Attack Attack, if you know, you know. If you don't, you know, go get learned on the internet. But you know, how does it feel to be out on a tour like that? I'm sure, at least in your head, you're just like when you got like the email or the text or the phone call to say like you're going out on tour with Attack Attack and Electric Callboy. You must have been just like, what is this real life? Like it can't be.
Yeah. Man, it was kind of crazy because like as soon as we signed to Thriller, you know, the label and management became like pretty aggressive. Like, what's next? Like, what do we need to shoot
Sure, sure,
for?
sure.
And right off the bat, like that tour had already been announced without support, and we were like, that's the tour that we need. Like, we need to be on that tour. And it's crazy because we we know the Attack guys because Bayless, the guy who produced Imposter Syndrome and half of our new record, he's in 9 Shrines with all of those
Yes,
guys.
yes.
And we've like stayed at their place before. Like, I mean, like, we've known them for a long time.
That's so sick.
Not, and again, we're not like best friends or anything, but we've stayed at their house.
Sure.
So like, and then back, I'm sure you may remember, we were booked to tour with Upon This Dawning, like, many years past.
Oh my God.
They were supposed to be, Electric Callboy was the headliner for that tour, but they weren't able to get their visas. So like, they were forced to cancel the tour. So Upon This Dawning became the headliner, and we were direct support to them, and we still did the tour. But so it's like kind of crazy, you know, like, I mean, it definitely was by no means like a for sure thing, you know, like we didn't have it in the bag at all. It was just like we had a couple things going for us.
Sure.
So we just told the label and management that's the tour that we wanted. Our agent started like working really hard for it, and the label just said, all right, go make a kick-ass record. And we finished the record. We got home, and it wasn't even like a week after we got home, they were like, we got the tour. And like, and you know, I'm gonna walk inside for a second to grab my phone charger, otherwise I might lose you.
Yeah.
But like, you know, we said, we were like, wow, are you serious? Like, we've never confirmed anything like that before. And, you know, even after confirming it, it wasn't like
a done deal.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, we've just, you know, COVID happened a couple of years ago. Lots of tours get canceled. Like, people get canceled. Like,
Sure.
We were supposed to tour with Electric Callboy, like I said, you know, years passed, and that didn't happen. So, like, we still were, I don't want to say apprehensive. We were stoked, but it didn't quite sink in until, like, we got the announcement graphics, you know, like you guys are on the tour and your logo is
your logo's on there, yeah.
And here's an itinerary and you're getting paid this much money, and like, you know, it was just like, wow, it's for real now.
Yeah.
So and then just watching it sell out has just been absolutely insane. We've never ever done anything like this, like from the size of the rooms to the caliber of artists that we're playing with to the amount of sold outs. Like, it's just, it's probably, the whole tour is probably going to sell out. I think there's like 5 shows that haven't sold out yet, and it's still a month away.
Yeah. Oh, there's, I could almost be rest assured that the shows are going to sell out, which is great, you know, because I feel like if anything, like, I hope it puts more ears to go check you guys out. And honestly, I hope this is an incentive if it comes to your city to go out and go see Outline. You know, go early. Conquer and Divide, Chef's Kiss,
they're great.
Outlineincolor, Chef's Kiss, you know, Attack, Chef's Kiss, and then, you know, rounding it out with Electric Callboy. I feel like you couldn't have come up with like a more fantastic tour. It's just gonna be massive, and so I hope that it blows up. I hope that people check you guys out and it blows your band up, because again, as someone who is been a fan for a while, I feel like it's always cool, at least for me, to see bands that have been working hard to finally, you know, get to that point of, you know, being up there. I think it's just a great thing. So obviously, massive success to you guys, and hopefully, again, go buy the album. You heard it here first. You already know. I've been screaming off the rooftops even before I had a YouTube channel. So, go check them out. But the next question I have for you guys, keeping it more current, what are you jamming recently? What's on the Spotify? What have you been listening to lately?
Oh man! All right, hold on.
You're gonna have to pull it up.
I'm gonna just be real with you.
I appreciate it.
Embarrassingly enough, I have a lot of healing music, like 428 hertz.
Respect.
Like,
I get that. You know,
it's like that stuff that plays in like when you get a massage or like meditation or stuff like that.
You like the
exactly.
I got you. It's the yoga shit. I'm about it.
I listened to the new Pierce the Veil single, and it did not disappoint. I randomly started listening to Amber Pacific again because I saw that they're confirmed with this. It's like a big show with Hawthorne Heights. And like way back in the day, I used to listen to Amber Pacific. It's been a
Oh,
long time, but I was that was like early Warped Tour days.
oh yeah.
Um, but and then Nightlife. I don't know if you've listened to them yet, but
Oh
they're
yeah. Woo!
so
They're
good.
good.
And then like on the alt side, do you know who Jairus Johnson is?
Yeah, he blew up on like TikTok. He did like
Yeah,
he is nuts. He good for
he
him.
he's crazy, and I dig his stuff too. But he's got this guy that I met. He played Rocklahoma last year, and his old manager is like a longtime friend of ours.
Oh, very
And
cool.
they needed to borrow a drum set, and we just brought out our drums so that they could use it for their set. And their drummer is like also a solo artist, or his drummer is also a solo artist. And he goes by Black Swan, like all one word.
Oh,
And
okay, okay.
and he's like his music is like a little bit like the lyrical content's pretty abrasive, like he's kind of like sexual and like kind of gross and stuff, but he's like the flow that he has and like his musicianship and like the videos and stuff that he does is just like crazy. It's almost like on like this like American Horror Story like kind of vibe, like it's real dark and weird and creepy, and he's just kind of creating a character for himself, and I like catching on to artists before they blow up, and I just
I
have a
feel
good
that.
feeling. I have a good feeling about it. In fact, I just saw he was the opener, and I've been following him for well at least a year now. And I saw like last week he's the opener for the next Point North tour.
What? Dope.
And he's like does not make like, I mean, to me musically doesn't really make a lot of sense for that, but I'm sure that there's like some connection there that makes it
Sure.
all make sense. But like musically it's a super weird pick, so it's cool to see him opening it.
That sounds sick. I'll have to check it out. I'm not really into the whole like horror aspect of things, so I'll probably just have to listen to it. But it sounds very interesting. I kind of feel on the same wavelength about how you feel about Black Swan. Is how I'm not even trying to call myself out, but like that's how I felt about Loveless, because very similarly to you, I had found out about him when he released. I believe it's like the Roman numeral I. I'm pretty sure it's like one,
Mm-hmm.
and I
Mm-hmm.
was like, oh, this is great. I'm like, and I had made like a live video saying like which bands do I feel like are gonna blow up next year, and I think I made it in like 2021 in December, and I was like, yo, I'm calling it. I'm like, Loveless is gonna blow up in the next like 6 months to a year, and everybody's like, I don't know
And
who that person
bam.
is, and then bam, he blew up. So I'm not saying
Yeah.
I called it, but I'm
Yeah.
just
Now
saying.
now Charlie Puth and Lizzo and
Oh,
everybody's fucking with him
and
now.
then the running up the
Futuristic.
hill cover, like he shout outs to Julian. He's doing the
Yeah,
Lord's
he's
work out here.
crushing,
He's
dude.
crushing it. So
Selling out his first tour ever. Like, what
wild.
the fuck?
Good
So
for
sick,
him.
dude. Yeah,
Well,
good
guys, you
for
can
him.
check out Julian on the Outline and Color track, Do Your Worst, because it's also Chef's Kiss. So listen, two fantastic artists on one track. You can't expect anything less. So links below. Go check it out.
Music video is really sick too.
Music video is also very sick. Shout outs to JT. He's he's doing the good shit out there too.
Indeed.
But the next question I have for you is personal favorite. As you can tell, I am a very huge nerd, so I always love asking this question. If you could be a video game character, Skags, who would you be?
Gotta go with my gut answer and say Yoshi.
You mean this guy?
Oh damn, I didn't even see him there, but yeah, I used to like play all the Yoshi games when I was a kid, and they were my favorite. I had like Yoshi Story and like
Oh,
all the Super NES stuff, and yeah.
love it, love it. That's we're all about some Yoshi love here on the channel, so I'm about it. But the next question I have for you, Skags, if you were to compile a Dream Tour lineup, including Outline and Color, who would be on it?
Okay, Pierce the Veil headlining.
Okay, fair enough.
I'd say direct support from Bad Omens, and oh man, it's gonna be a 4-band bill.
Okay,
Or
okay.
the two, or the 2 slot. Nightlife's the 1 slot. Yeah, I think that's it, man.
Ooh.
Nightlife, Outline, Pierce the Veil, and shit. What did I say? I'm blanking already.
You said
Yeah,
Pierceville, Bad Omens,
Bad Omens.
yourself,
Yeah,
and
wow.
Nightlife.
Yeah, I think that'd be a sweet tour. That'd be a really diverse tour too.
It would. I guys buy tickets now, pre-sale. That would honestly that'd be so sick. I would be so stoked for you guys. So again, much like the Pierceville like collab, then they could do a tour, just putting it out there.
Oh,
So let's make it happen, guys. I'm just saying that would
I
be.
mean, don't make us perform it every night with them. Oh my God, that'd be
Oh
terrible.
man, oh that would be such a bad thing, but totally could be done, at your local venue, so just saying, could happen. But I that sounds great. Obviously, would love to listen. If that collab happens, I'll be out here just being like, kudos, guys, you did it. You really did it. So, but the next question I have for you, Skags, much like me, you've been to a lot of shows. But if there was one band that has just put on a fantastic live show, who comes to mind?
Oh man, there's a couple. Honestly, um, Kingdom of Giants is
Ooh,
a
oh,
just absolutely fantastic band, and our second tour was actually with them many years ago, and they were
what?
a fantastic. Yeah, they were a
Oh my
fantastic
god.
band back then. They've actually nobody deserves it more than that band. Like they literally toured with every big band
Oh
before they
yeah.
got big, and then none of those bands took them out back on tour again, like until recently. Like it was for a long time. I was like, man, like they went on tour with Volumes before Volumes blew up, and then they never like
Yeah.
returned the love. And I'm sure there was situations why they couldn't or whatever, but you always like to see like that happen when bands tour together. Like
Oh
when
yeah.
one of them get some trajectory, they help the other one back up. So they're absolutely incredible. Rain City Drive and previously
Whew.
the Slaves.
Yeah.
We've toured with every iteration of that band, and I mean, Matt is an amazing vocalist,
Oh
but
yeah.
the instrumentalists in that band are also just top notch musicians. Like for everybody, the guitarist, the drummer, the bassist, they're all just amazing. They're a very solid live band, and just having Matt have like flawless vocals on top of them being such a tight band is just very nice. Um, Let me think. There's probably Picturesque is a really good band
Ooh.
live too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're really
My
solid live.
boys. I love them. Those are my guys.
Yeah,
Picturesque and Outline in Color. That would be Chef's Kiss. That would be that would be the homie tour, at least for me, because I love Outline in Color. I love Picturesque. Those are actually funny tidbit about the channel, and I can show about myself just for a smidge, but they were the first band that I ever interviewed in person.
oh
Ever.
wow.
Yeah, so they hold a very special place in my heart, and every time that I see them, I just love them a little more. So
That's right. We just did a tour with them a couple months ago, and it was a blast. We was just hanging out every day.
they're a bunch of sweethearts. So
Yeah,
I would love to see a tour with them. I don't know if that'll probably happen at some time in the future, but would love to see it. And then I also have to agree, Skags, Kingdom of Giants, underrated metalcore band, Passengers, flawless record. Listen, underrated. You should go see them on that Miss May I tour that's out right now because they deserve your love, and they've also been on the channel. So, just saying,
absolutely.
I'm ahead of the curve
Also,
here.
just side note, Rivals, that band crushes
Oh
also, and
yeah,
they're just it's so cool seeing them get their like moment with like TikTok and everything start
oh
to
yeah.
open up to them. They deserve it. They've been around forever. They've been crushing forever, and you love to see it.
Yes, honestly, it must be a cool thing again being in the scene for such a long time and like seeing friends bands just doing the most, and they're like
Yeah,
to finally see them just do the things that you are like, man, like they're finally getting their break and that's awesome. I feel like that's
yeah,
happening with a lot of bands and that's always to me that always warms my heart. That's always like the
yeah.
coolest thing.
Honestly, back in the day, things felt like, and probably it was because we were younger and whatever, but things felt very competitive in the scene back then, and it was just like if you weren't like this with a band, you were like, fuck you with a band.
That's,
It was
yeah.
kind of, it was kind of weird for a while. And now it's like we've known these people forever. A lot of them have been around for forever, like we have. And
Yeah, yeah.
it's just like, we now I have so many people that like text me or message me or like whatever in other bands, that it's just like they see us do something cool and they're like, man, that's so awesome, good for you guys. And I'm doing the same shit to them, and it's just like, and then I find new bands that are popping up.
Oh,
And
yeah.
like when I find a band, I'm like, dude, you fucking rule. Like, do you keep this shit up? Like, you're gonna fucking take over. Like, I'm not afraid to gas up a brand new band that has like so much like potential.
Oh, yeah.
Um and like, man, like sometimes I'm just like some old dude just telling like younger guys that they're kicking ass. But sometimes like there's like like the singer from Nightlife is a big OG Outline fan, and I've been like super supportive of that band, and I talk with him like quite a bit.
Very cool.
Uh you know, there's like a part of him that like thinks it's really cool that like he has my support, even though like I just genuinely found his band and think he's sick. But there's part of the equation that is special for him, because like he's followed us for a long time, you know.
Yeah.
And I know that I'm just some loser that played in this band for 10 years, but like to other
Nah.
people like that.
I can say that with a surety. You're not a loser. You know, love, like, for me, this is cool because I feel like, I feel like I've known you for a long time, even though we just met over the internet. That's like, I appreciate the camaraderie of it. And I think, if anything, like, I think it's important to tell other people, friends, whatever, to be like, yo, you're doing great shit,
Yeah,
and I think that a lot of the times, even to the credit of being in the music, business somewhat, I feel like we're always, like you said, very competitive, being like, oh my God, like, I can't believe they got this tour and we didn't get this tour. And
yeah,
it's like, listen, gotta be happy for the homies sometimes, or even people that you're like, man, I wish like, we do the same shit. Like, I don't understand why they're bigger or whatever, And I think it's kind
totally.
of like an attitude thing a little bit, in a sense, where you're like, I kind of, feed off the whole mentality of like positivity, where I'm like,
Yeah,
what, Outline Color, killing it, go check them out, because I believe that that's like an important aspect to be a fan. And I'm not gonna like everything that you guys do. I mean, I do.
sure.
To be fair,
Yeah.
I do actually
Well,
enjoy
yeah,
everything. But there are people out
but
there that are
yeah,
like, I'm not feeling that, and that's
this isn't
completely,
for me. Yeah,
fine to have that thing. But I also feel like, in the same aspect, you can't just be like, oh, I fucking hate this. This is terrible. I hate this band now.
right.
Everybody evolves.
Yeah,
Everybody grows. You guys have been doing it for 10 years. I've been doing this shit for almost 7 years. Like, I'm gonna have different musical tastes from when I first started till now.
yeah,
And I think that for people to be held at that certain, like, level of being like, you're always gonna be at this mark, and like, anybody that views you is going to keep you at that same mark. I just don't feel like that's like the right thing. You
yeah. It's
gotta.
not realistic. It's you're yeah, you know, and it's like, especially when you're young, like there's just like this part of your life where, you know, maybe it's your first girlfriend dumping you, or your grandma dying, or your parents splitting up, or like,
Hmm.
but there, or maybe it's a good thing, but there's this part of your life where you're experiencing these just like profound emotions for the first time. And like when you're experiencing that, and then also hearing music that seems to speak to you, you know, like if you're hearing like what you're
Yeah.
experiencing, you know, it's with you forever, you know. And a lot of people go their whole lives like chasing that feeling again in music, you know. And when
Hmm.
bands don't deliver on that feeling, they're like, oh, this album sucked, or that this isn't like their old shit. Or then the band does something that's like their old shit, like, oh, they just copied their old shit. It's just, you know, like, I feel like a lot of people aren't really aware of that fact, and it keeps them from enjoying a lot of music, because not everything has to be this or that, or that's better than this or whatever. It's music is art, and it's all just subjective. And I don't know, I think it's crazy, because like I figured that out about myself like at a certain point in my
Hmm.
young adult life. And like that's allowed me to like I can listen to Lil Pump, and
Yeah.
like it'll get my head nodding. I'm like, I get why people listen to this in the club. This isn't like what I want to listen to all the time, but like I get like if you're like, I'm going to the club, I'm gonna have some alcohol, I'm gonna party, I'm gonna have a good time. I can see like how this music gets people excited,
Yeah.
and like granted, it doesn't have the emotional depth that like some of the other music that I listen to
Fair.
does.
Yeah.
But that's not even what music is about, like it's like some of it is, but like it's some of it is about being hilarious, some of it's about like being braggy, or like
Yeah.
doing the rapper thing, or there's just so many different lanes for music, so it's all subjective, and you know
I think that's kind
I'm
of what.
rambling.
No, 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 no. This is great. I love it, Skag. So very like I feel like for me too. I resonate with that too. Where like I was very much like a couple years ago, I was not into pop music. I was like, I was very much like a gatekeeper on that. Where I was like,
Yeah,
I might not listen to pop music. I listen to metal, like I listen to metalcore, I listen to post-hardcore, I listen to like deathcore, like that's my shit, right? And then I just was like one day, doing interviewing bands and stuff, and I would get like pop artists, or I get like an indie artist, or I get a folk artist, and I'd be like, you know what, let me like actively try to listen to this, and I listened to it,
yeah,
and I was like, holy shit, like this is great, why close myself off to people who make good music. Like you can be a good
yeah,
artist and make stuff that has just as much emotional depth as like a post-hardcore band or melodic hardcore band. And then there's, bands that are in that same sort of lane that do metal and all that sort of stuff that have zero emotional depth. And that's completely fine too. There's a time and place for those things. But I think that to kind of cut yourself off and to be like, this is only what I listen to and this is all that
yeah,
I'm going to listen to, I think you're selling yourself short of artists or bands that you could love, but like you're too selfish to want to go out and try something different because you're afraid you might actually like it, and that
absolutely,
sucks. But like there are people that do that, and I'm glad that we are kind of on the same wavelength about that, and I hope
yeah,
that it inspires people to go check out new music because there's I made a joke about this. I'll probably never be able to interview every band on the face of the earth, and I mean, obviously, hope that I don't. But you know, there's so much music out there, and people make it wildly different in every sort of instance. So it's cool to hear. So obviously, the main point to take away is go check out Outline and Color because they're great, and I love them, and you should love them too. But uh, the next question I have for you, Skaggs, getting into a little bit less important territory, but what is your favorite TV show, favorite movie?
oh man, favorite TV show, I've been watching a lot of Criminal Minds lately.
Oh,
Like Criminal
okay.
Minds a lot,
All right.
like Law and Order SVU a lot.
All right, flex.
Movie, it's kind of tough for me. I'm not really a movie person. I like to consume my content in 30-minute to hour-long chunks.
Understandably.
But and it's weird because I'm not like really attached to any of the storylines at all. But I do like the Marvel movies and stuff just because they put like crazy money into them, and they're just like the special effects are like crazy. But
Oh, yeah.
also The Boys is an awesome show.
Oh, yeah. I can't agree. I can't agree. I'm kind of the same way where like if I put a movie on, it's usually just something like I enjoy watching. Like I have like the Rush Hour trilogy, and that's just like a good, just fun time, just watching the dumbest shit happen, but it's great.
Yeah,
And it's just like you got to have the lightheartedness. That's what I'm about here.
absolutely. Gotta
Um,
break it up.
but the last question I have for you, Skaggs, which is a question that I'm very curious how you're going to answer it because I'm always like shocked and enamored by the answers. So I hope you can kind of continue on with that trend. But um, what do you want people to take away from outlining color, whether it be from the musical aspect and obviously being a songwriter and doing the lyrical aspect of things? What do you want people to take away from your band watching this interview, but also just checking your band out? Because I feel like
Yeah,
as me growing up, like I always love hearing why bands do what they do and why they love
for
doing it.
sure.
So, you know,
Well, the answer is kind of multifold, and some of it is sentiment that can be um, agreed upon by the rest of the band. But
Sure.
all of us in the band have had a time where music has quite literally saved our lives, where we were outcasts. We didn't have anybody that we felt that we could talk to.
Mm-hmm.
And like we heard an artist that like made us feel like we weren't alone, and like that feeling made us want to like keep living, you know. And so at the core, like when we started making a band or like making music and wanted to tour and share a message and stuff, like that is like we want to do that for other people. I don't mean like literally save people, but we want like our music to like mean something to people,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
like, and um so that I would say that is like the intrinsic like higher purpose of the band. But like for me personally, um I I have always loved the guys in this band. Even though we've changed around a lot, every member in the band currently is an original member. We just have less members. So I've been around these guys a long, long, long time. They're
Yeah.
my very, very best friends. And I guess I have always gone where the band has needed me. You know, I played keyboards, like I played bass, and when my time came, like I switched to be the front man of the band. And I am just like a normal person. Like and I guess what I'm trying to say is just that it sounds so fucking corny and so cheesy, and I wish I had a cooler, like more hooky way to say it, but just that like this is the shit that I've wanted to do like as long as I can remember, like aspiring to do
Sure.
something, you
Yeah.
know. And I just I want to be a good person, and I want like to do what I do as a musician and have those things be like I would rather be known for being a good person than being a musician, but I'd like it to be both of those things,
Sure.
you know,
Yeah.
like because the scene is saturated with so many shitty people and shit. Lord knows there's been times where we've all been shitty in our lives,
Yeah.
but as an adult, like I'm really like trying to make my primary focus in life just like doing the right thing and like owning up to my mistakes. And um you know, I just want to put it out there that like anybody can do whatever the fuck it is that they want to be, like or whatever they want to do. Like if you want to be a singer, or you want to be a musician, or you want to make movies, or you want to be a fucking content creator, or play music, or play fucking video games, you know, for a living, like there's never been a better time to like just fucking go with your gut and like do the thing it is that makes you happy. Because you know, there's even members in my band that, you know, like John stepped away from the band for several years to pursue like a life of, you know, a mortgage and a 9 to 5 and a serious career. And you know, he that put him through this whole kind of personal hell in a way, you know, because he had
Sure.
to take himself away from the things that made him the most happy, you know. And I just feel like there's never been a better time than now to just break it up, the monotony. Nobody expects anybody to go to college or do something that they're not passionate about right now, like they did when I was in high school. Like, you know, nobody. There's just so many people have alternative lifestyles and make means or make you know,
Make a
living
means to
like,
end. Yeah.
yeah, in such like different ways than like our parents did and their parents. And it's just like, man, like there is a way to make it work. Whatever it is you're wanting to do, there's a way to make it work. And if you want it bad enough and you work hard enough, like you can figure it out. Like, and I feel to some degree that I'm proof of that. I wasn't a singer like before, like, you know, a few years ago, like other than just like the same way everyone is a singer in their car or in the shower and
Yeah.
stuff.
That's true.
But like it was always something that I wanted for myself, and something in the back of my head told me that I couldn't have it for a long time until, you know, my opportunity arose where like I kind of got forced into it. But like once I got the opportunity, I was like, I want to do this. I want to be great at it. And I had to just like quiet the back of my head and just like practice and focus. And slowly but surely I started to get better, and I continue to get better. And the same can happen for literally anybody that wants to do anything, whether it's baking or acting or drawing or podcasting, dude. Like, I mean, like you said earlier, like you can remember the first podcast that you did, like you can absolutely acknowledge the growth, I'm sure, you know.
Oh
And
yeah.
it's just like if you would have thought, like, if you were to think back to the headspace you were in when you did that first interview, like doing anything to that you've done in the past like 6 months would probably seem like incomprehensible, you know.
Oh, 100%. I feel like that, and great points. I got to give you kudos. You were like, man, I don't know what I'm gonna say, and then you went full head on that. So I give you credit, Skags. But I think for me, it's like I can resonate with that a lot because I started doing this, you know, out of, I think it was like my senior year of college, and I was just like, I don't know what I want to do. I have my college degree, but I have no fucking idea what I want to do. And then
Yeah,
I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do normal day-to-day jobs, but I'm gonna do something. I want to do something for myself. And so I find
absolutely.
I find that we are very cut from the same cloth, and it's like you got to do what you love to do because I know it's cliche to say, but like you you're not assured tomorrow, right? And I think that that's why for me, like, that's why I love interviewing bands, because if I die tomorrow, I know that I've had like just the most awesome time just growing as a person doing YouTube for as long as I've been doing it for, which is almost 7 years, which is pretty fucking crazy if you ask me. But
It's
like,
crazy, dude.
but I think at the same point, like, people ask me this, some of my friends, some of my roommates ask me this. They're like, do how long do you feel like you're gonna do this for? And I was like, I don't know how long I'm gonna do it for, but honestly, if I was to stop it tomorrow, I would just be, I would have been like, if I never took the chance on doing it from day one, I would have never done it. And so I'm
Yeah,
always grateful for that first step. And I feel like with Outline in Color, very similarly, everybody took that first step into starting the band and wanting to do it, and now you guys are really killing it. And so for me, that's just motivational. That's just fuel to the fire, baby. Always working for it. And I think if anybody deserves to do really well on this attack Electric Call Boy tour, this is it. They are the real deal, the real McCoy, the sauce, the juice, whatever you want to call it. They have it, and it's, to me, this is a, been such a cool experience, and b, like, this is a band that deserves to be big. So please go support them. And then Skags, not to sound absolutely cliche, but tell the people where they can find you on social media. This will be coming out like a few days before the album comes out, so the album will be coming out very soon, guys. I'm very stoked. You should be stoked too. But tell us, Skags will tell you where they can find you at and all that stuff.
for sure. Well, first and foremost, outlineincolor.com. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter /outlineincolor. The only one that's different is TikTok, and we are TikTok in color on TikTok.
Nice. All right. There we go. Well, guys, again, I'll flash a little ad here, but go check them out on tour if they're coming to a city near you. This look. Okay, I'm gonna come into the camera. You need to go see them on this tour because you're gonna regret it for the rest of your life if you don't go see them. So
That's right.
do it. But also go pick up their new album that will be coming out in roughly a couple days. I'll have to figure the exact date when it's going to come out, but it's going to come out like a handful of days before. So go pick up The Coast is Clear. I'm going to go pick it up on vinyl because you already know, I can't even show it, but I have a bunch of vinyls, and it would be great to have them in my collection. Also, if anybody has Imposter Syndrome on vinyl and wants to sell it to me, hit your boy up. I need to buy that. But anyway, and if any other Outline in Color vinyl for that matter, so hit the DMs. But go check go check them out. Again, great. Skags, I can genuinely say this with like my whole heart. What a wonderful dude, and also that makes even better music somehow. I don't know how, because the bar is already set high, and now we're just maxing the bar out. We're like fucking Vegeta out here, over 9,000 babies. So go
You're too
check
kind.
out Outlineincolor. Seriously, can't think of a band that deserves it more right now. So please go give them some love. Links below. Go buy their album. Go buy the merch. It's all great. It's all fire shit. I don't have any of it yet, but you can be rest assured an album will be mailed to me directly, and then I will then play it and then put it in my collection for, you know, the amounts of massive amounts of, you know, albums that will be produced after this. So go check them out. And if you enjoyed this interview, share, like, and subscribe. It goes a long way. I want to let everybody know on this interview that I will start to be posting audio. So if you are a podcast listener and you like listening to audio, I hope by this time when this interview comes out, I will have audio so you can go listen to it in your car, and it'll be great. So keep your eyes peeled for that, or, you know, follow me on social media. That'd be great. But huge thanks to Skaggs for coming on. Again, crossing another name off my bucket list this year's been Chef's Kiss. We love it. So thanks, Skaggs, for coming on tonight.
Hey, thank you so much, man. Thanks for having me.